Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Industry Week webcast, using APIs to break the barriers of smart manufacturing, presented by Software AG. My name is Travis Hessman. I'm the Content Director and Editor-in-Chief of Industry Week, and I'll be the moderator for the event today. And before we jump in, I just want to explain how everyone out there, you can participate in today's presentation. First, if at any time you have any audio difficulties or the slides stop advancing, first step is to hit the F5 key, which will refresh your webcast console and resolve most common issues. If it doesn't fix it, just hit the Help button to receive assistance. Now, this webinar technology does allow you to resize the presentation by clicking the Maximize icon or by dragging the lower right corner to enlarge or shrink a window. And of course, we welcome your questions during today's event. If you want to submit a question to today's presenters, just type it into the question window on the left side of your screen and then hit the Submit button. And we'll try to get to as many questions as possible during the Q&A session that'll follow the main presentations. But of course, we ask you to please feel free to send those questions in anytime they occur to you throughout the webcast, and we'll add them to the queue. Please also note that today's session is being recorded and will be available on the Industry Week website within the next week for you to review. You'll be notified by email when the archive is up. And finally, you see on your console the Software AG logo is hot linked. So if you'd like to visit their website during the webcast, you can just click on the logo and a new window will open. I will not take you out of the webinar, so you can continue to listen in while you read. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our speakers for today. Today we have Sean Riley. Sean is the Software AG's Director for Manufacturing and Transportation Solutions. In that position, he's been working with many of the world's largest manufacturers to help them overcome the barriers to their smart manufacturing initiatives and make tremendous gains in the areas of manufacturing efficiency and innovation. Also joining us is Sachin Godre, Software AG's Vice President for Product Management. Sachin manages the top-rated web methods integration platform and has worked with many global companies to help them introduce connectivity between their applications and processes, both internally and to external partners. And with that, I'm done on this end. Sean, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Travis. So to start with, Software AG has been innovating for 50 years now, specifically in the manufacturing sector. More than 50% of the Fortune 100 companies are Software AG customers. We have over 2 million developers and over 2.5 million users of the systems. And while Software AG has a strong traditional presence in the manufacturing sector, we also have a wide variety of customers across all sectors, as shown by the sample here. But without further ado, let's really talk about smart manufacturing and overcoming the barriers to smart manufacturing using APIs. Recently, smart manufacturing initiatives have taken center stage for both the process and discrete manufacturers alike. Through the use of sensors, artificial intelligence, robotics, and other Industry 4.0 technologies, manufacturers are able to do things like predict equipment failure and process-related losses, and then quickly prescribe corrective actions. Artificial intelligence and machine learning play a pivotal role in Industry 4.0 and manufacturing. These disruptive technologies represent a huge change for manufacturers, but they also hold great promise for increases in efficiency, reducing costs, and improvements to quality. The more data that's available to artificial intelligence-infused business processes, the smarter they become at observing trends, spotting anomalies, and learning how to make decisions that benefit the manufacturing organization. Additionally, new cloud-enabled applications are making it easier for engineering, production, as well as logistics and distribution to collaborate across geographies, across previous business and application silos. Mobile-enabled devices can help managers make faster, more informed decisions from wherever they are, and the ability to aggregate data from multiple systems, sources, and deliver it to the right people at the right time is a critical aspect of IT modernization and process improvement. While efficiencies and operational goals continue as top objectives, many manufacturers are starting to prioritize initiatives around innovation. To remain competitive, manufacturers must deliver better products, more customized, and get them to market faster. This requires providing connected product data to product development and marketing, which requires an IIoT platform to be able to share data seamlessly with the systems that those organizations rely upon. Additionally, real-time demand data allows manufacturers to better predict customer demand, respond quickly to demand changes in the marketplace, accelerate the engineered order process, and collaborate more efficiently with their ecosystem partners. Lastly, B2B buyers have new expectations that have been set by their experiences as B2C buyers. To personalize and meet the experiences they now expect, manufacturers also require seamless visibility into each digital touchpoint at every stage of their customer journey. And while this is a tall order, it all has to be accomplished with lower IT support costs and ensuring security is as high as possible. In summary, shared data now has as much value as products do because they drive the experience, they drive innovation around the product, and they're able to drive additional products that come to market faster. So there are several obstacles that have to be overcome that are typically seen when implementing a smart manufacturing initiative. And the first issue is that most organizations don't have the skills to follow a web of connections around, and it's not what people are used to doing. So it's a new set of work that's driven by the complexity of existing ecosystems. Additionally, smarter, more efficient processes depend on access to data from a growing number of sources, such as cloud apps, legacy systems, connected devices, and more. And those cloud apps, when combined with legacy silos, have a tendency to create silos if they're not connected properly and quickly. IIoT platforms generate massive amounts of data. They introduce new challenges in extracting meaning from devices, sensors, and smart machines, but they also provide new opportunities if you're able to access that data quickly and easily. Additionally, according to a 2018 study by IDG, more than a third of manufacturing IT departments are being under pressure to migrate all applications and infrastructure to the cloud, which results in additional landscape complexity in connecting cloud and SaaS apps to legacy systems. And that's where APIs come into play to overcome those particular issues, because each data silo contains important pieces of information. And if you're able to tap them, manufacturers get a more complete understanding of their businesses, from their supply chain all the way through to their customers. But what's really interesting is that manufacturers are operating within a dynamic, interconnected production procurement network. They're coordinating and collaborating with many different suppliers and production facilities across multiple countries, and they all have different connectivity requirements. They all have different security requirements, and it's there to create a new ecosystem. To successfully create that ecosystem requires the ability to streamline integration between partners in order to gain the visibility needed to respond quickly to changes in the market or the supply chain. Some examples of this integration include the pricing of materials, changes in labor agreements, inventory shortages, transportation delays, or other compliance issues that need to be made available quickly and seamlessly. And this will provide visibility to every stage of the extended value chain, which could be a bit overwhelming if you don't have a scalable method to connect these disparate systems, to share information in an automated and standardized manner and gain insights from massive amounts of data. And lastly, driving this in terms of the rate of change are new competitors that are entering the market. these new digital competitors don't have to manage the current infrastructure that many manufacturers do that include legacy plants, legacy applications, and legacy infrastructures. But they don't have the decades of knowledge that have been put into those legacy systems. Those legacy systems have inherent value because of the efficiency gains that have been placed in them over years of work. And tapping that knowledge requires a connectivity option that allows a company to obtain it without having to rip and replace those applications or undergo a lengthy project to modernize those applications. And that's where APIs come into play. And we really see 4 different types of APIs at work here. The first are internal APIs. They're used to support operational excellence. They connect machines. They connect your ERP. They connect your supply chain. They connect your CRM systems together. And they're all built to support the notion of we're going to get better, we're going to get more efficient at what we do and make our offerings more appealing to customers through usability. Secondly, the second type of APIs are open webs APIs, which are publicly available made APIs that gives external developers with programmatic access to a proprietary software application or a web service. This includes products or services that are exposed for partners to leverage, and partners are able to come up with innovations that typically weren't expected internally. The third type are B2B APIs, and that's where you're going to securely share data with suppliers and partners through both EDI and APIs in a structured manner so that partners can interact in a real-time manner when needed and also securely. And lastly are product APIs. They enable partners to create and customize products on your behalf. More importantly, they form a stronger bond between the manufacturer and the client because they can provide insights into how end consumers leverage products and value specific features. And that's really critical because it gives insights into that particular product usage, the product need, the feature need, even if the product isn't IoT enabled and real-time sensor data isn't coming off that particular product. So it's another way to understand how brownfield products can provide value without having to be retrofitted for sensors. So this brings us to our first poll question. And the question is centered around how are companies leveraging APIs today? Are you focusing on an internal metric where I want to integrate my IT systems with my OT systems to better support key manufacturing initiatives, provide more visibility to those initiatives? Do I want to collaborate more seamlessly with my entire ecosystem? Do I want to interact with my customers and consumers in a more real-time, more defined manner? Or am I using those APIs to connect my products or my IoT platforms to the product development teams that are in charge of building new features or deprecating older features? So let's see where companies are using this. And it's interesting because it seems to be almost a straight split. However, of course, the internal efficiency is edging out just a little bit. And as expected, the product development is typically the lowest type of API that's being supported. There are clearly a few companies that are very mature and are using this for all of the different types of use cases. But in this instance, we're going to talk about IT OT integration. Specifically, we're going to provide an example of how a software AG customer was able to overcome their heterogeneous challenges. This particular manufacturing conglomerate has more than 150 plants spread around the globe. They were modernizing their MES system, and they were 4 years into a 5-year project with only a 10% completion rate, which gave them a high rate of concern. So the concept that was laid out for them was what was called connectivity in a box. And that was a combination of APIs and integration that could be deployed in 3 different manners, depending upon geographic, regional, and plant-specific requirements. The first was a direct connection into the core ERP system, where APIs were leveraged. They were directly connected to that core integration hub and shared with the enterprise. The second was for plants that were geographically similar as well as physically similar, and they connected via APIs through a regional integration hub. And lastly was a plant-specific deployment where APIs, where integration were both deployed inside the specific plant to ensure that their MES could connect to their ERP system. Most importantly, that allowed for IT to still manage all issues centrally, manage the deployment as well as manage the ongoing operations centrally, but without having to fly people around the world on a continual basis to manage those operations. The end result was that the customer was able to extend the life of their legacy applications and not fully convert all of their MESs to a new version or a new MES that they had purchased, which allowed them to preserve that critical business logic that we talked about earlier. And more importantly, they were able to shave years off of their deployment time. So how are other customers realizing the value of APIs? And that's through generating new revenues, providing new integration, or engaging with customers and partners in a new manner. Software AG has seen similar manufacturing customers realize 20% increases in revenue growth by making their products available in new channels. Additionally, typically there's a 41 to 87% IT support cost decrease, which is always welcome because that particular burden will enable those particular manufacturers to become more cost competitive. And lastly, to compete with those new digital entrants, we've seen a typical manufacturing customer realize a 12-time increase in the speed of new releases of APIs and new services. So how are you realizing the value from APIs today? And I expect that the answers to this poll will mirror the answers to the first poll, with either faster completion of internal operational excellence projects such as IT/OT integration, being able to increase consumer and product interactions on external platforms, having faster real-time ecosystem interactions to better understand demand, to better share supply, to better understand the locations of shipments in transit, or none of the above, or all of the above. So it looks like it's fairly even across the board a little bit, with, of course, the internal excellence projects leading the way, which mirrored the other poll. It's a little surprising that the real-time ecosystem interaction is trailing below, and then of course it's approximately the same percentage as the last poll, with with some companies leveraging APIs for all of the above reasons. So thank you for taking the poll. These answers are quite interesting. My colleague, Sachin Gardra, is going to give a few more insights in terms of APIs from a technical perspective. Sachin?
Thanks, Sean. I hope you can hear me. So let's get
Very
started.
Well.
Okay, so next up is an example of a case study. This is a software AG customer. It's MindSphere by Siemens. And what Siemens is doing here is that they are leveraging software AG offerings to provide smart manufacturing capabilities. So MindSphere is an IoT platform that is provided by Siemens for not only Siemens customers, but also for other third-party customers. And what they do here is they provide a complete solution whereby they can keep track of your manufacturing line. They can keep track of your equipment, whether it could be any kind of a production planning equipment, or it could be any kind of device or sensor. And for this, they rely on Software AG's IoT platform. And with the IoT platform, they can keep track of devices, sensors, they can manage those devices and sensors, and they can integrate them into the greater IT ecosystem. So for OT-IT integration, this is a perfect fit. So that's one offering from Software AG that is used by MindSphere, but they also use another offering from Software AG, which they internally call as MindConnect integration. And what this offering does is it provides integration into the wider ecosystem of on-premise based applications, and this could be ERP or any kind of a production planning application, or it could be cloud-based applications, and this could be your CRM applications, any kind of service incident type of applications, mobile, social, any kind of applications. And by using these two components, MindSphere is able to not only connect to the wide range of devices out in the field, but also to the wide range of applications that are out there. And this has been a very successful implementation for Siemens. These are the two core components of the Software AG technology that are effectively OEM'd and are completely white labeled by Siemens. And this particular cloud-based offering is available in 3 different regions. It is available in North America on AWS Cloud. It is also available in Europe and Germany on Azure Cloud, and it's available in China on Alibaba Cloud. So this is a very big implementation of our products being used totally by the MindSphere customer base. I will cover some of the use cases later on, and they apply to MindSphere as well. So without any further delay, let's talk about Software AG's solution for APIs for smart manufacturing. So I want to introduce our cloud-based offering. It's called as WebMethods IO iPaaS. It is a multi-function iPaaS offering. And what I mean by that is it's not just integration, but it provides a number of other modules which are pre-integrated. So it provides an API module for creating and exposing APIs and for securing and governing them. It also provides B2B integration capabilities if you want to integrate with the wider ecosystem. Of course, at the centerpiece is the integration capability where we can integrate with any IT application out there, whether it is on premises or in the cloud. And then, of course, we have our IoT offering that provides integration with a wide range of devices and sensors. And this entire cloud offering is available not just in one cloud, but it is available in multiple clouds, and it is geared towards multiple personas. And what I mean by that is we have customers who are running mission-critical implementations on this platform, and we also have some customers that are using lightweight integrations and APIs, and particularly these type of integrations or APIs are built by citizen integrators. These are business users with a little bit of technology expertise, and even they can, with the easy to use and highly graphical UI that we provide with WebMethods IO iPaaS, they can build these APIs and they can build the integrations to automate or to further drive IT-OT convergence. With all of our cloud offerings, we provide recipes. These are out-of-the-box templates, and a number of recipes are provided with the platform that help you in connecting to devices or applications out in the field, so that if you are trying to do this kind of integration or this enable this IT-OT conversions, you typically are not writing any code. You are just taking a template that already exists and you are making some changes and reusing it within our iPaaS solution. So going further up, with our API products, we have an API portal, an API gateway, as well as a micro gateway. And I won't go too deep into this, but at a very high level, API gateway is our product for exposing APIs, and it allows you to take any API built using any technology or any standard and expose you using any of the interfaces, and you can just expose it to the wider world. And when you expose it over the internet, typically there are concerns around security, so we provide a full-blown policy enforcement engine within the API gateway, and it allows you to pretty much provide what we call as smart policies, which you can write once but apply to multiple APIs, and they pretty much they make sure that the requests that are coming towards the API, they are authenticated, they are authorized, and any of the bad guys or any hackers are kept out of the system. Similarly, there is bot protection, XML threat protection. All of the regular security policies are supported by the API gateway. An important component of the API gateway or a sister component is called as API portal, and this is very useful for extending your ecosystem or for building your API ecosystem. So you can build out these APIs, and let's say that they provide better visibility into how your production systems or how your production machinery is working, or it provides insights into your production planning, and it makes them available to different partners. Or you can actually, if you are the vendor of equipment, like in the case of Siemens, if they are selling their equipment, then they can enable that equipment and they can provide APIs on top of that equipment to provide better insights into how the equipment is performing, and that can be used by the respective customers. And by providing these APIs, you provide easy access to the data, which is otherwise very difficult to get to. Now, eventually, once you build this kind of an ecosystem, you can also monetize those APIs in certain conditions. So all of that is possible using the WebMethods API platform. So going further, I just want to talk about the key capabilities provided by our offering and how they solve the various use cases. So at a very high level, I can think of three capabilities: connectivity with the core API platform and the deployment models. And some of the use cases that we are discussing right now, or our customers are using. So one of the use cases is predictive maintenance. And we have a customer that is monitoring. They provide printers, and they want to continuously monitor their printers. And whenever the printer ink is, let's say, is going low, or if one of the parts of the printer is not working fine, they can open up a trouble ticket and they can send a technician to fix that printer. The same thing can be done, is being done by another customer with windmills. And these windmills are located in faraway places. And so you don't have to go to each of these places to check the windmill, but you can proactively monitor that equipment. And if you see that there is a potential for a failure, then you can proactively address that. And for this particular use case, we provide integration into service ticketing systems. And then on one hand, we can open up a trouble ticket based on certain alarms or notifications coming from a particular device or a sensor. Another type of integration that we are doing is combining ERP data with production data that is coming off of this equipment. So in this case, what we can do is we can actually take both data sets, we can feed it into a cloud-based analytic system like an Azure Data Lake or Amazon Redshift or even an on-premises Hadoop. And then we can orchestrate various analytic programs to make sure that we derive conclusions or derive insights out of this data to predict future events. And this is a very popular use case. Again, this requires convergence. This is where you need integration between OT data and IT data as well. Similarly, if once you create this data, once you create these insights, you might want to provide access to this data. So that is provided by creating any kind of an API. It could be a REST API or a SOAP API or a GraphQL API, which is the new standard these days. And we support all of these various standards so that our customers can really choose how they want to expose that data set and in whichever format they are comfortable with. So an important part about choosing the technology platform for this particular problem is how flexible the platform is and can it be deployed in the cloud or on-premises or hybrid. And as far as webmethods.io is concerned, it is available in all three topologies. From a connectivity standpoint, we provide connectors to a lot of the upcoming IoT protocols such as OPC UA and OPC Classic, as well as MQTT, which is also a protocol that is getting very popular these days. By providing this wide range of connectivity, we can then enable the creation of APIs, which can be then deployed in any number of ways. So I think that's all I wanted to cover on the offering side. Next slide, I have the last polling question. Now it's important to identify what are the key technical challenges. Of course, I've seen security to be very important, but sometimes governance is also very important, particularly when you are consuming other APIs, and there could be certain limits on that APIs, and you want to make sure that you don't cross those limits, because otherwise you might end up paying additional fees for accessing those third-party systems. Similarly, scalability and rapid deployment becomes very important when the size of your IoT platform or when the size of your deployments increase, because IoT devices can generate a lot of data. And so you need a platform that can scale with your requirements. So let's see what challenges are the most important. I hope that you have clicked the submit button by now. So let me go and see what the results are. So as expected, rapid deployment becomes is important in this case, although all the other categories are also at almost 43%, so they are pretty important as well. But one thing that I could guess is that a lot of customers are right now engaging in IoT POCs, and maybe that's the reason why rapid deployment is becoming very important, because you have a particular use case in mind, you want to try it out quickly, and that's why rapid deployment is becoming very important to do these POCs, because that's the particular area where I see a lot of action right now. But as IoT becomes more mainstream and as people start building mission critical applications, some of these other requirements will also start getting more and more important, as important as rapid deployment. So with that, I want to come to the last slide, which shows that Software AG is a leader in all of the analyst waves and MQs that we see in the different areas of integration. So the first one is the iPaaS and hybrid integration wave, and Software AG is a leader. In fact, we are rated as the highest for current offering score. For API management, we are again one of the few leaders in that wave, and then we are also a leader for B2B integration. So I think if you look across all of these evaluations, Software AG is the only leader in all of these evaluations across the hybrid integration category. So with that, I want to leave you with a few differentiators. The first one is, of course, market-leading connectivity, and I say that because across all of the vendors, we have the highest number of connectors, and the last time I counted this, we had more than 600 plus connectors. These are 600 plus out-of-the-box connectors to devices, applications, B2B standards, and databases. So it covers a wide range. And actually, if you do a split, it's a 300-300 split. So we cover a lot of the IoT protocols and a lot of the IoT devices and sensors. We have around 300 connectors to those, and we have 300 connectors to different kinds of applications and databases. So it's a huge list. I mentioned this before. We provide flexible deployment options. You can deploy to on-premises, to hybrid, as well as cloud. But more importantly, in the cloud aspect, we support multiple cloud providers. And security becomes of paramount importance, particularly if you are going to a public cloud versus a private cloud. And so we provide support for a wide range of security standards, which make it very easy for customers to move to our cloud. And finally, this is not a single point offering. This is a multifunction iPaaS offering, which means that you are covered. You don't have to buy all the modules. You can start slow. You can do a rapid deployment of the integration platform, and then as you get more and more new use cases, you can move into the IoT side, or to the API side, or to the B2B side. The important thing here is that all these products are loosely coupled but tightly integrated. And so this is a single platform where you can actually build your integrations in one module, and then create your APIs in the other module, and you can do a lot of reuse. So we are coming to the end of the presentation. We hope that it answered a lot of your questions regarding how APIs can truly help you in your smart manufacturing initiatives. We have a number of resources that are listed on this slide. They are available as clickable links, so you can definitely go, and I encourage you to check them out. I also encourage you to sign up for a free trial of our cloud offering. It is available on Software AG Cloud, and you can get a 30-day free trial, and there is a lot of resources to help jumpstart your implementations. But if you still have questions, you can obviously send emails to both Sean and myself. Our emails, our IDs are provided here, and or we can answer your questions right now. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Travis, to wrap this up.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much. And Sachin and Sean, thank you for that presentation. I think you covered a lot of ground, and we're going to jump right into the Q&A session right now. And a few of you have already sent in your questions, and we should have time to answer even more, so keep them rolling in. And while the presenters are answering your questions, we ask everyone out there to just take a quick moment to complete the feedback form on the lower toolbar, so we can continue to improve. All right, so with that, let's jump into the questions. Sean, I want to start with you on this. So out of the four types of APIs that you mentioned, which would you say are the most prevalent?
So it's an interesting question, because it doesn't necessarily agree with the poll results that we received today. The part that does agree with the poll results is that the most prevalent types of APIs that are being created and leveraged are typically internal APIs that support operational excellence initiatives, similar to the IT OT integration challenge that we heard about. However, where this typically deviates as opposed to today's poll results is that B2B APIs are usually the second most created and leveraged for type of API. And this will also be followed very shortly by specifically manufacturers that have a large variety of open web APIs because they interact directly with consumers. And that's where any type of manufacturers that wants to expose their catalogs, expose their particular products and or services to those consumers directly, have that third type of API in place.
Excellent. Thank you. And Sachin, I'd like to throw one your way right now. You mentioned just a couple slides ago that you support multiple cloud platforms. A question came in asking for more clarity on that. Which cloud providers are supported by Software AG?
Yeah, so we support all the major cloud providers such as Amazon, which is AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, as well as because of our engagement with Siemens, and also we are in China, so we support Alibaba Cloud as well. But the point here is that pretty much the way the technology is written, it is written in node.js, so we can actually take this and move to any cloud provider. So I think at this point it is just a matter of certification, but at the moment we have certified those cloud providers that I mentioned, but we can actually certify it with any one of the local cloud providers, and we get those requests all the time.
Well, that's good. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stick with you just for a minute for one more question. It's an interesting one. Do you support microservices style deployment, and what container orchestration frameworks are supported?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we support multiple deployment styles, on-premises, hybrid, as well as cloud. Typically on our cloud-based offerings, we internally are using Kubernetes and Docker.
I think we may have lost you. Okay. Well, we can come back to that one in a bit if we get him back on the line. So Sean, I wanted to send you a question here. It's a good meaty one. Could you explain how APIs can assist with a direct-to-customer offering for a company that's traditionally operated in a retail sale model?
That is a good question, because it's not a simple conversion for a manufacturer to enable their systems to have this type of offering. But first off, APIs can make the direct-to-consumer product available anywhere. And that can be through a multitude of apps that either the manufacturer has or a multitude of apps that partners have available. An example of this is I can go through a United app and use miles to buy products from Toomey and other manufacturers directly, where facilitation or fulfillment is not completed by United, it's completed by the manufacturers themselves. Secondly, APIs can facilitate data sharing with social media and marketing applications to ensure that demand response and demand is gathered in a new and real-time manner. And lastly, with a direct-to-consumer initiative, a manufacturer is going to pick up a whole new set of ecosystem partners. And these ecosystem partners are going to support new fulfillment requirements as well as new logistics requirements. Shifting from a full truckload or a less than truckload model to a parcel model of delivery is not without its challenges, but APIs will be able to facilitate real-time communication. And I want to stress that that real-time communication is bidirectional, both from the manufacturer to the fulfillment and logistics partner, as well as information coming back to the manufacturer in real time, so that if there are any challenges and a consumer wants to understand where their product is, what the state of their order is, the manufacturer has that information at their fingertips. So while that is a challenging initiative, those are three ways in which APIs can better facilitate that particular initiative.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And I believe we have Sachin back on the call, which is good because we have another question I think came in for him. This question reads, what happens when data is asynchronous or not available all the time?
Yeah, so sorry about that. I'm back in. This particular use case where the data is asynchronous is basically a very common use case, and there are various ways of handling that. So typically, many technologies these days are supporting a streaming kind of a connection where you open up a long polling connection, and we have a connector for that. And essentially what happens is that the long polling connection is always open, and whenever there is data on that line, then you receive that data, you get a notification, and then you act on it. That's one way, and this is a very modern way of doing things. But then whenever that modern interface is not supported, you go back and you solve it other ways. Another way of solving this is through a webhook, or you can actually do a scheduled task. So every so often, there is an API or an integration that wakes up, goes and checks if there is data, and if there is data, then it processes. Another type of a technology that I have used in the past is messaging. So what you can do is, whenever the data becomes available, you can actually write it to a messaging queue, and then somebody on the other end of the queue will take that data and will process it. So there are a number of ways, depending upon what type of technology that you are dealing with, whether it is old to the new. We have various ways in our integration toolkit to address that particular use case. Over to you, Travis.
Well, thank you very much. That was perfect. And with that answer, we are just about out of time here. So I'd like to thank our speakers, Sean Riley and Sachin Godre, and Software AG, and of course everybody out there for tuning in today. And as a reminder, if you are registered as a group, we ask you to add the names and emails of everyone in attendance to the exit survey. With that, on behalf of Industry Week, I'd like to wish you a productive remainder of your day. Thanks a lot.